Hi, welcome to the podcast. It's your three favourite people back again for another week of pretty decent football with no fans. You know, it's been okay. We'll talk about my club because we have to talk about my club first because we're the most important club, of course. We literally just finished watching the Man City game and I'm disappointed. I won't lie. I wanted a draw. Really badly wanted a draw. And we didn't get a draw. And I think we deserved it. Honestly, like how we played, honestly, I feel like we should have. But there's players in this team now. I think when you look at where we are, where we need to be, you know, we want to be like a Champions League team, don't we? And clearly we don't have the quality. Hint, hint. Bellerin, I'm sorry. I have to say this. This guy, he's not good enough. He's not good enough. He's really not. Oh, my days. Watching him play, it's just, this guy's had 9 yellow cards this season already. And he's right back.
One more and he's suspended.
One more and he's suspended for 2 matches. And he was suspended from he had 5, like maybe like a month or 2 ago, because I remember celebrating that he wouldn't be in for a certain game. And now he's back again, and I don't hate on players very often, specific players, but this guy doesn't offer much anymore. And he hasn't for a while. And I think before his injury, you know, he had pace, which is what he offered. But now he doesn't even have pace. So what does he have? What does he have now?
Money in the bank.
He's got money in the bank. Honestly, when Barca came in and PSG came in, I would have just said sell him because this guy isn't good enough for the top flight. And the more we progress and try to be a better team under Arteta, the more it makes me think this guy just isn't going to be able to hack it. If this guy comes to Champions League and plays against Mbappe, he's getting eaten alive. He wouldn't be able to hack it. Eaten alive! And you saw how Alba got eaten alive. Do you think Bellerin's on the level of Alba at all? No. Nowhere near. Doesn't even go close. He's getting absolutely destroyed. And with any other winger, Di Maria, if he switched sides or Neymar on the left, it's peak for him. And if we really want to go Champions League, this isn't the right back. And we have to start looking because like this guy doesn't offer anything. Going forward, his decision making is so poor. He made one chance in his last 5-6 games, which was the Aubameyang one, when he really should be making so much more because defensively he's not that good either. So if he can't do anything going forward and he can't do anything at the back, what does he offer? Nothing. Cedric did
exactly
foul throws,
foul throwing in shallow merchant.
Don't forget, yeah, exactly. But Cedric is a clear better right back just from what I've seen of him already.
Ainsley Maitland-Niles is the man.
Yeah. Ainsley was class when he was getting a lot of play time last season and the season before in right back. He wasn't doing too bad and he started to warm up to it. I know he doesn't want to play there, and obviously now he's at Albion and he's playing in the middle of the park and he's doing okay. But when he was playing, he was doing much better than what I saw from Bellerin. Just going forward, the attacking, what he's just sort of brought to the team. You know, he adds to it. He adds to the attack. He brings in this sort of thing in the box, which just adds touches. Whereas Bellerin lost the ball. So I don't know if you saw the clip on Twitter. If you haven't seen the clip on Twitter, you need to go watch that at some point because this guy literally unmarked. I think Cancelo was there or whoever the left back. Zinchenko was just watching him, not really being pressured because Man City weren't pressuring, and he does like a croqueta and then kicks out of play.
As you do, just the casual stuff.
Yeah, no one was on him. Literally, no one was after him, and he just completely lost it. And I can't believe this is our right back. Are you serious?
It's
either
not
way, I can't write on the one player, but in terms of the whole performance, you know, we didn't have Partey. Tierney was a bit rusty. He still did okay. That whole left side dynamic with Tierney and Saka was good compared to Bellerin and Pepe. Pepe wasn't even getting fed, and he was kind of, you know, living off scraps.
Yeah, I mean, the first goal wasn't great from Tierney. It just kind of just sat off him. And just went,
let him whip it in.
Yeah.
And then Sterling scoring a rare header from a guy who was 5'5", when you've got someone like Rob Holding. And by the way, Rob Holding, that whole game was class. Before obviously that goal winning, after the goal winning, sorry, nothing happened before that. After that, some of the stuff he was doing was just crazy good. And it just affirms that this guy should really be, you know, up there now in terms of regards to some of these better centre backs, maybe even being considered for England because honestly he hasn't really put much of a foot wrong. He's very physical, you know, he's good in the air,
I don't know about England, but
I do think that there was a point a couple of years ago where Rob Holding was really putting in some impressive performances and starting to build some momentum. And people were like, "Oh, hey, Rob Holding, this guy's good."
Yeah.
And then he got injured.
Yeah, his injury
and that really set him back quite badly. And now he is starting to come back into some form, which is good. And I don't know, I doubt he'll get called up for the next international fixtures, which are March, I believe. But maybe, possibly, if he continues to play really well for the remainder of the season, there'll be a couple friendlies before the Euros, and then I don't know. We'll see.
We got World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, what you're saying about you don't know is who really is there that's competing with you? You've got John Stones, who's literally like stonewalling. He's not going anywhere. He's probably the best English centre back now. Yeah. But Harry Maguire hasn't been that good.
Harry Maguire's going to get in no matter what. I don't think.
Why though? I don't see why he should. He hasn't earned his spot. He hasn't earned his position to be there. He doesn't deserve to be in that spot at all. No question he deserves to be there. Rob Holding has been a far better
Lewis
centre back
Dunk.
than him. Now you know I'm Lewis Dunk's #1 fan. Don't get me wrong, but Rob Holding has been he has been better than Lewis Dunk, believe it or not. I believe personally, and the thing Lewis Dunk has is his consistency. Like he's consistently been great in the Premier League since Brian had been here in the Prem. So yeah, okay, but he needs to be there. At least get him on the bench and give him some minutes because he deserves to be.
I think. Oh, go on you.
No, I carry on. It was moving away from it.
I was just going to say, I think what really kind of is strange to me is how massively the England centre-back situation has changed since the last time we played international games. Because last time it was like Maguire's stonewalling, Dyer's stonewalling, Cody's stonewalling, and now like none of those guys have been good for like at least 2 months now. Cody's been very inconsistent. Tottenham have been awful, and Dyer has been among that. And Maguire has had some really pretty shocking performances recently. And in the meanwhile, Stones has completely turned his career around. As you said, Holding's playing well. Lewis Dunk, look, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Lewis Dunk never gets called up, and that would be a real shame.
Yeah.
The thing is with England is you've got like one at the minute, like very, very good centre back in John Stones, and then everyone else is just bang average.
And yet we're still going to play defensive.
Yeah,
which is frustrating. Like we shouldn't be playing a 3 at the back when we have such good attacking options. There's just no point. We have so many cams. We've got so many wingers. Even in the striker department, we've got a fair few. I mean, I don't see why Nketiah shouldn't be within a shout just because of what he's done under 23s. I know he's not done great for club, but for country he's been mad. You've got Kane and Ings who are both great. So the striker situation shouldn't, be neglected either. So I don't see why we need to be playing 3 at the back.
I mean, I think if we play 3, I think if we play 3 at the back, we've got to be playing the Tuchel style 3 at the back, where it's
with like wide midfielders.
So not quite defensive right back and left back or wing backs. They literally are right mids and left mids, and then you have
but then if you do that, you have to play 2 DMs really, and then who have you got other than Declan Rice? He hasn't been at his best this season.
You could quite easily put in Declan Rice and Henderson, or Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham. I think
Bellingham. Yeah, I forgot about Bellingham. He's still around.
So, but
I think Bellingham's quite young though, isn't he? He's like 18, 17.
He is, but he's doing really well at Dortmund at the minute. Just got an assist. It was a class assist.
And you got Haaland at the end of it. It's pretty easy.
I mean, it was a tap in for Haaland, so it was the assist made the goal. But anyway, back to the Arsenal Man City. We've gone off topic a bit. But one thing that impressed me, and I haven't noticed it at all, is the whole right back left back situation in the Premier League at the minute is they almost play as the right winger and left winger crossing the ball in. Mm-hmm. But
you had your winger sort of cut inside.
Yeah, but Man City do the opposit. You have the right back and left back come in as almost midfielders.
Yeah.
Cancelo was coming in quite a lot in sort of like a midfield role, and Mahrez was staying quite wide, which is weird because you haven't got a very, like physical. They didn't have like an out and out forward in that team, did they? Really? Like De Bruyne was playing like centre forward and Sterling cutting in. But there wasn't anyone. There wasn't like an Aguero to like get at the end of some of these crosses or anything like that. It's quite weird.
Yeah, but is this the new style of football? Just overloading that midfield, so you win the midfield battle.
It's something that it's something Guardiola's done for a little while, I think, using those inverted fullbacks. We've seen Walker play that role quite a bit, and obviously the main example being Zinchenko, who literally is a midfielder. Yeah. So he's very comfortable doing that. He's very good in possession.
And he slotted into that sort of cam role as well, didn't he? He was coming forward.
Well, he came through the youth setup, and as a young player, he was a cam. And then Pep's used him as a left back in this system because he's so comfortable in possession in the midfield. He plays as an attacking midfielder for Ukraine.
Yeah, he does.
What a change.
Yeah, it's quite weird, because he can play both so well. I mean, and defensively, he isn't that bad either. I mean, he's going against Bellerin, so it's not hard, is it? But he had him pretty much on ropes, and he did a good job. So surprisingly, where he plays.
The thing is, Man City can do that just purely because they don't tend to not have the ball. They always have the ball, therefore meaning that they don't need to have their right back and left back constantly out there. So why not push them into midfield and just overload that midfield so you win the midfield battle, which typically if you win the midfield battle, you'll keep the ball. So just chuck them in there. So it's quite an interesting tactic that I've noticed so much in that game against Arsenal.
And what you'll see often is the defensive midfielder in their system, which we used to be Fernandinho a lot, now more and more it's Rodri. They will almost drop back into defence to make like a three at the back in possession, and then you get your two fullbacks who push forward into midfield, create an overload. Then it means teams can't deal with their possession at all. They have so many players, so many options constantly, and so many players who are amazing in possession that it's just like you can't get the ball off them.
Yeah, I mean that's something that England could quite easily slot into. Having Declan Rice as that Rodri dropping back into a back three. You've got Walker at right back that can already do that. Reece James can play in midfield. He has done already. The left backs, I'm not too sure if they can drop into midfield, but I'm sure if you give them a go, they could. I mean,
Katie's not English, but
I was going to say where are you going with that one, but Sterling's used to that system, so he'll used to having a left back do that. It's definitely a system that would work, but it ain't ever going to happen. So
But the thing is that Southgate isn't a good enough manager to fathom that, is he? So we can just keep dreaming about it, but I just can't see Southgate. He's very Brexit English football. We do this. There's no fancy. Moving positions. But this is just it.
See, that's where I think that's the biggest mistake that we do in English football when it comes to international is we don't play like what most of the clubs do at the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly.
We should be playing the same. Obviously, not every club is going to play the same style. That's understandable. But there's going to be a lot of similarities between clubs. Like a lot of Liverpool's game, other teams are trying to do that. Same with Pep, because let's be honest, Man City and Liverpool are the best team. Well, were the best teams in the league. Not too sure about Liverpool now. But you try and see what they do and try and basically almost not become them and use the same tactics because it works.
Yeah. I mean, the only team that actually benefited from them playing five at the back last time was Arsenal, really. Like the Arsenal players that were in there, like Saka and Maitland-Niles were coming in as like wing backs. Because we're like the only team.
And Cody.
Really. Yeah, and Cody, of course, yeah. Well, other than Wolves and Arsenal, like, there's not many teams, at that time, we don't do it anymore, but at that time, there weren't many teams that were doing five at the back. And even now, Wolves don't even do it anymore now. They're trying to do back four. We don't do back five anymore. It's if we keep doing it, it's just going to be confusing because you're only there for like a few weeks training at St George's.
Yeah,
and then you go back and learn different tactics again. It's very confusing.
I mean, even sitting back, you don't have to have three at the back. I mean, Mourinho plays four at the back quite often. And he sits back and defends. So it's just a system they're not used to.
Yeah, I mean, the perfect example of what you're saying, like using the same style at club and international level. The best example of that working is Spain in like 2008, 2012. Because obviously most of that team was Barcelona players. And they played exactly the same kind of tiki-taka possession style as Barcelona, and all the players were so comfortable doing that they just transferred seamlessly onto the international stage and they won 3 tournaments in a row.
Well, most of the players in that team were Barcelona players, aren't they? It's basically Barcelona FC in that Spanish team. But I mean, what a team that was. And you're totally right. I mean, who was it? What's his name? Who was it that was the manager then? Do you remember his name?
It was Del Bosque, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought it was the guy who just resigned recently. But either way, it was that is what it is. When you if you play the 4-2-3-1 in the English team now, which I think we did in the World Cup. I'm pretty sure we played the 4-2-3-1.
Played three at the back of the World Cup.
Yeah, because we had Trippier just like running things on the right hand side at wing back,
and Kyle Walker at right centre back.
Yeah. I mean, if we were to do like a 4-2-3-1 now, though, a lot of England players are used to that.
Yeah,
Kane is obviously used to being that sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I don't think there's a problem with parking the bus. I mean, I think if anything, it might actually benefit us counter-attacking teams with the pace that we have up top. But we shouldn't be playing five at the back. It just doesn't work.
No one likes it. We don't like watching it. I don't think players honestly like playing five at the back. I'm pretty sure they all hate it. It's just, why do you want to keep doing that? It doesn't usually work. So, just get rid of it.
Yeah.
We'll see anyway. We will see. In terms of other games that happened recently, we should probably talk about Chelsea's game because...
Oh, no.
Oh, how embarrassing was that? You had to salvage it with a penalty. And I mean...
Mason Mount comes to the rescue once again. Honestly.
I have to say, Mason Mount was class in that game. He was really good.
This guy is... I'm not comparing them on ability level, but this guy is a new Hazard. He's literally dragging us through the Premier League at this point. Like, honestly.
Hang on, sorry, real quick though. Have you heard this rumour that Haaland might come back?
Yeah, he might come back for. Chelsea aren't willing to pay more than, I think, £40 million.
Would you have him back though?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Even with the form and injury stuff he's had at the moment.
I'd take him back for 40 mil. We've made money on him. It's a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
I wouldn't have Hazard at my club. But either way, yeah. If you wanted to say that he's a new Hazard, well, he's only what's his second season, really? Like,
yeah.
And he doesn't play the same position.
Part of me would think, like, I wouldn't want him to come back and kind of stain his legacy at the club. Eden Hazard is a bona fide Chelsea legend, one of your greatest players ever. And I wouldn't like, if I was a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't be that keen on seeing him come back, not quite the player he was, and kind of not being able to recapture that form. And maybe that's a bit of a not a huge problem. Obviously, he'd still be a Chelsea legend, but just a slight stain on his legacy.
Yeah, I mean,
and he doesn't fit in that team as well. He's not a midfielder. He's a winger, like an inside forward.
Well, exactly. I think he'd fit. No, he'd fit Chelsea playing that left forward. That almost, it's like a number 10 role, but it's more like a left forward. He played that, and
I remember now.
He played that under Conte when we won the league. So I think he'd fit, and I think a lot of it in Real Madrid is due to his injuries that he's had as well. And just not picking back up. And he's in Spain, he's almost living the dream, really. I don't think he has any ambition to try hard as such. One thing that he wouldn't work well is the amount of pressing and the amount of work you have to do in the training with Tuchel. As I think it's well known that Hazard doesn't train. He's one of the worst trainers out there because he was always able to do it on the pitch. There's been many arguments with Mourinho. But yeah, I don't think it will happen. But Mason Mount so far is doing what Hazard did, dragging us through. He seems to always pop up at the right times, Mount does at the minute, and somehow manage to keep some points. But it was such an appalling performance from Chelsea.
For team-wide, yeah, and you have to start asking that because obviously Ziyech came on. Ziyech has been a bit underwhelming as a signing, considering that he spent like 30-odd mil. I'm actually going to say that I think Ziyech has been the worst signing in the Prem at the minute.
In the whole league.
The amount of people that are going to roast me for this, I don't care, but I don't think he's done a single thing for us. But I genuinely don't think he's done anything for us at all.
Yeah. I mean, he scored in his debut, didn't he? And I think he got a goal in the Champions League. But other than that, he just seems pretty ineffective on the pitch. It's like... He almost reminds me a little bit, the way he's playing at the moment, of like Ozil at the end of his Arsenal career. Like, he was, he's nice to watch play because he's very cultured and he moves around really just like gracefully, but he's becoming increasingly ineffective on the pitch, not really creating a whole lot, not getting any goals. I mean, Ziyech was known really at Ajax for his some unbelievable goals that he scored. Some of the long shots that he pulled out were just unbelievable, and he hasn't we haven't seen any of that. I'm imagining his confidence is pretty low, and that's why we haven't seen a couple of stunners from him, because that's not the kind of thing you attempt when you're low on confidence.
I disagree with you there. I don't think it's to do with his confidence at all. He's a very, very stubborn guy. He believes he can do anything pretty much, and you can see that with his facial reactions and all of that stuff. I just think that he doesn't have the time on the ball that he had at Ajax.
Yeah.
And therefore he can't just suddenly knock it out his feet and spray a 60-yard pass to someone or shoot from because they're on him. Like the Premier League, you don't have any time to think. You've got to be thinking about what you're doing before the ball even reaches you, and he doesn't. He's very much, he'll stand, he'll kind of drop his shoulder, knock it out, look up, and then he'll play the pass. And he needs that time to be able to do it, and you don't have that in the Premier League. Everything has to be right. The next move, I've got to think before the ball's even looking to come to me in the Premier League. But I just think he's been appalling, and I'm gonna highlight. I didn't really want to, but I'm gonna highlight the fact that Hudson-Odoi got subbed off.
That was quite a surprise.
The reason I didn't want to mention it is just purely because it doesn't help him constantly. I'm not that he's going to watch it, but constantly people reporting on it isn't going to help him with the confidence and saying, "Oh, he shouldn't have been doing this," because it's not what you want to hear. But it was worse. Like Hudson-Odoi came on, and in an attacking sense, when he had the ball, he seemed good.
I mean, I didn't watch the game, but from highlights and stuff, it seemed like after he came on, he kind of added a new dimension to your attack, and that he was stretching Southampton's defence. He was getting in behind. He was, being able to cut the ball back and doing what other people previously hadn't been doing. So it was just weird to me. It seemed like, just taking off one of your major attacking threats for no massive reason, and probably shattering his confidence at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, Tuchel's reason for it is because he wasn't reading the pressing lines and when to press, when to counter press. Which, okay, that's great. If he's not listening to you, fair enough. He probably does need to come off. But don't bring Ziyech that doesn't do any defensive work on. It's going to make the situation even worse. Yeah. At least you've got a guy. Yeah, okay, we might not win the ball back from him, but at least he can do something in an attack. Whereas Ziyech hasn't showed that pretty much at all at Chelsea yet. But I was just, it just seemed strange to do that, to be honest, to take off Hudson-Odoi. Hopefully his confidence isn't shattered, because he was just becoming a decent footballer again. But who knows? But he wasn't just that performance. It just all round. We've been shocking.
And there's a real lack of incisiveness from your team today, and it's not like Southampton have a great defence. It's not like struggling to break down Burnley or struggling to break down Newcastle. Southampton are not the hardest team to get in behind and attack, and I know they definitely kind of sat back and tried to absorb a lot of pressure, but like a team like Chelsea, you should be able to create at least a few good chances, and there were barely any other than the actual penalty itself.
Yeah, it's just not playing the right passes. A quote from what Tuchel said: we played amazingly in the first 80% of the pitch. The last 20, we did nothing. And it's becoming a recurring theme now. And it's not just Tuchel. It happened with Lampard this season. And it's just becoming something that happens and keeps on happening. And we need... I mean, Tammy Abraham, he might not be scoring now, but he's not getting the ball. There is a clip going around where Mason Mount, I've just praised him, but he did something quite badly here. There's a ball straight through the middle into Tammy Abraham to put him through one-on-one. And he plays it out to Reece James behind Reece James. And it stops that move. It's just those last passes. It's just not happening.
You've got to wonder as well, because there's so much behind Tammy Abraham. You've got two cams and wingers behind him that really should be kind of feeding to him. So you have to ask, is it about him, or is it just that all those players just cannot seem to be creative because you've got so much potential to have creativity that isn't working. You know, Hudson-Odoi is one of the, probably the most creative winger, and then you've got ZSU signed for the creativity who isn't doing it. Mason Mount's supposed to be doing it. Like, well, is it a philosophy thing that is, you know, not carried over since?
I mean,
I
think a lot of it. I mean, in that game we didn't play Hudson-Odoi or Ziyech to start off with. You've got Mason Mount that's the only creative player, and he's not a finished article at all. He's got a lot to learn. So what one misplaced pass, fair enough. It's something that he didn't see. But we had Werner on there. He's not exactly a creative person that fires in passes to people. You've got Marcus.
Wait, hang on, did you sub Hudson on and then off again?
Yeah.
How long was he on for?
About half an hour.
Yeah.
Wow. That's rough.
But the other person, Marcus Alonso, is not exactly a creative player.
Yeah, exactly.
Reece James, yeah, he is a creative player in terms of the crosses and what he can provide, but Southampton did really well to shut off that right-hand side. And as soon as that right-hand side is shut off for Chelsea, we've got no hope of doing anything because our left-hand side is just washed.
Did you start Reece James at wing-back or wide mid?
He was, what is right wing-back, right mid, whatever you want to call it.
Wow, that's rough.
The goal conceded was poor from Kovacic, not staying in the middle of the park. And Zuma, what are you doing? You've came into the team. You've got to play the best game of your life. His new manager. This is the time to shine. What's he do? Switch off. Lets the ball go through. And the worst bit is they're showing this replay going, Azpilicueta shouldn't have dived in. Zuma's walking behind him. He's got to be busting a gut to get on that line to stop anything. Because if Zuma runs on that line or runs back, it makes what's his name? Begins with an M. This is the guy. Minamino, that's the one.
Oh, right.
It makes his life more difficult because then he can't softly play that into the back of the net, and it almost forces him to use his left foot instead of it being a tap in. But no, Zuma stands there and kind of just walks back and goes, they've scored already.
Yeah, because like that goal, that finish. I mean, it's really well taken by Minamino. Full credit to him. But like, if Zuma is back there and challenging him, he can't do that.
No, I mean, yeah, okay, it's still an open goal because our goalkeeper's behind Azpilicueta, which I don't know what he's doing. Why are you diving down when there's already a body in front of the ball? But yeah, it's still an open goal. But at least Minamino has to think about placing it in the bottom corner or something on his weaker foot, which isn't easy. I know they're professionals, but it still makes it a bit more difficult. But no, have an open goal. Here you are. Have a free shot on target.
Yeah. Frustrating. It's frustrating stuff, and you know you were having such good momentum. United, you hadn't conceded as many goals recently since Tuchel had come in. Was that the first?
That's
the first goal that someone else has scored against you, isn't it?
Yeah.
The first goal you've conceded was Rudiger's own goal.
So yeah, I mean, he hadn't done bad, and maybe your attack was a bit lackluster without you know,
honest
your creativity. But you know, I think it's a shame that you've come so far and that you've drawn to Southampton, who weren't in the best form. You know,
we do this every time.
Yeah,
we did it to you, Arsenal.
Yeah,
bad form. I bet you Southampton now go on a massive winning streak.
Well, Southampton haven't been terrible this season. They've had some pretty bad games. But
I mean, to be fair, their injury crisis over like the Christmas period and the end of January and even stretching into the early February, it was horrible. I mean, it was the worst injury crisis I've seen this season. It was worse than Liverpool. It was worse than Wolves.
People just don't talk about it because Southampton.
They literally had like 11 players. 11.
Yeah, they had
players.
no reserve squad against us. They literally played the whole team was on. Which is crazy.
And like, when they've got, you know, multiple options and they've got more of their squad available to them, then they are going to play well, because previously to this bad run form, they were really, really good for a lot of the season, weren't they? And then they've dropped off quite significantly. But at their best, Southampton are a really good team. So in general, you'd say it's not like particularly shameful to draw with Southampton at the end of the day.
Yeah, but thank goodness it was a draw. not a loss. It's came at such a bad time as well. Because if we won that game, we take on a winning mentality and the momentum onto Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, but you had the thing is, like, you had the momentum against Southampton, and you should have really taken that with you. And honestly, it's just a bit disappointing that you haven't won. And honestly, I think you're going to lose to Atletico anyway. So
I'm always going to back the team to win, but I'm not exactly hopeful. But it's just frustrating, and we've still got players out. I mean, we've got players out injured, whether they play or not. Why Pulisic isn't? You've got Thiago Silva that's injured, that should be back for the game against Atletico Madrid, which is a massive miss for us at the minute. We've Havertz. I mean, some people would say that's not really much of a difference, but he hasn't played under Tuchel yet, so we don't know what he could do.
He's not injured; he's just not playing.
No, he was injured. He's been injured. Pulisic has got another injury, but that's another. I'm very surprised that Pulisic hasn't been playing under Tuchel. That was a bit of a shock.
Knows him.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what happens with that. But,
who's he playing on the left then instead?
Marcus Alonso would play that wing back.
To be fair, he had a good game in the first one when he scored, didn't he?
Yeah, and Timo Werner and Mount playing that left forward, right forward type role.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to call it, really. It's kind of inside forward, isn't it?
Like the one where they sit just behind the
striker. Yeah.
Striker, yeah. It is weird. I mean, Chelsea I think they'll bounce back from this either way. You know, you've got time. Top four's still in your reach. Obviously, you're still up there. I think you'd take Europa League. Honestly, I don't see why you wouldn't. But in terms of around the world, I mean, you look at like other teams that are dropped down to Europa League. It seems to be like a standard now, where it's like
you don't drop down to Europa after round of 16.
No, I'm just talking about in general. Like if you take Europa League next season, like if you look at the clubs that are in there now, it's not as bad as it used to be, where you're just playing like Wi-Fi passwords.
Oh, it's tough. It's tough to win the Europa League because obviously you've got the schedule as well, which is killer. I mean, Arsenal are experiencing that now, having to play both games abroad, going to Athens for a home game.
Yeah, why are we going to Athens for the home game rather than like Poland or something like that?
Yeah, I think they mentioned the other option was Poland, wasn't it? And Poland is much closer than Athens, so like that doesn't really make much sense.
They wanted a holiday. They wanted a holiday in Greece, and they were like, "Yeah, let's go." That's it.
But I think a team that had to go even further for their tie, they had to go to Budapest, Liverpool, and that went well for them. But things did not go well for them this weekend. Their first loss to Everton at Anfield in
30 years,
30 years,
yeah.
And their first derby defeat, home or away, in over a decade.
I mean, are they actually on the verge of battling for Europa League now?
Yes, they've already lost. Let's be honest, because this is all another record, Sam, which I'm glad you didn't say. Makes me feel smart. This is the first time they've lost 4 home games in a row in nearly 100 years. 1923 was the last time they lost 4 in a row.
It's mad. It's like just flipped from one thing to the other so quickly. Nearly 4 years without losing at home, and then 4 losses in a row. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's actually mad. 1 loss for every year. And these guys, this is the team that won the league last season. Let's not forget, most of the players are still there. You've still got the same front 3 that won the league last season.
What happens to the players if they don't even get Europa League, though? Can you have contract terminations if they don't? Is that in contracts at all, or is that not a thing?
I
certainly wouldn't expect any contracts to be terminated, but player sales, I would expect. I mean,
Liverpool aren't rich, are they?
I think partly from Liverpool's perspective, they might want to start moving players on because the squad is aging a bit, particularly their front line. I wouldn't be surprised if Firmino went pretty soon. Liverpool are pretty good at selling at the right time, and not being sentimental about holding on to a player for too long. And I think Firmino's reached that point now where he's not quite the player he was.
It's time to go.
And in terms of players who might want to leave if they ended up in the Europa League, Salah is always linked to Real Madrid, Barcelona, the big clubs, and he's the top scorer in the Prem. He's still having an amazing season.
Yeah,
he's the
it's
one guy who is
ridiculous,
still
though.
having an amazing season, and like. Do you see him staying if they're in the Europa League?
Do you know what I think it is, Sam? I think the problem with that is Klopp is such a good manager, and everybody knows.
Yeah.
No matter what's going on,
true.
everybody knows Klopp is a world-class manager. This guy didn't just win Champions League, Premier League, and all that in the same year to be known as a tin pot manager. This guy, we all know it. They believe in his philosophy. I think they always have. They have to in order to have won the things that they've won, and I think they still do. And I think they acknowledge that this season is a write-off purely because, the beating heart has been taken out. Virgil van Dijk having such a major injury. That is a huge thing, not just for like how they play, which it does because it kind of ruins their attack because their fullbacks aren't performing as well, but also for morale. Like this guy was like the main leader who sort of kept the team together. He was the glue, and now that he's gone, it could affect them. But I think maybe Klopp can do some magic here and convince them that if they were to stay and fight with him, they can come back to glory because they've done it. And it took time for them to do it. They didn't just do it overnight. It took them like 5 years of Klopp to do this.
The thing is that I'm more worried about is, I mean, what positions get Europa League? Is it 5th and 6th?
Yeah.
I mean, at the minute, they're not in Europa League. Oh, well, with games in hand, obviously. Currently they are, but they're in terms of the teams that will go above them, they're not in Europa League at all.
They're like 7th.
I think Villa and Everton could both go ahead of them, can't they?
Yeah, they'll be 8th, and Spurs will be 2 points behind them.
Yeah,
wow. That's worrying. That is worrying.
Like,
because,
what if they don't get Europa League?
That's the thing as well,
then?
because then you have to start thinking about the money aspect, which you haven't really had to think about for a while because they've been Champions League consistently. But once it's happened with Arsenal. Once Arsenal fell out of the Champions League, we were financially hit hard, and we still are. Like we barely get in transfer budget now, and our owners suck. And Liverpool's owners don't suck, but they don't really invest as well as they could. And if they were to go out of the Champions League, you'd realise that some of these players they'd have to just sell, or wouldn't be able to get them on new contracts. Wijnaldum's leaving at the end of the season, and these sort of players like Firmino, Salah, and Mane would probably be seen as a luxury, or at least a couple of them will be. And they would know that they deserve to be in European football. Like, there's no way Salah and Mane aren't playing any European football next season.
Well, you can't. I mean, if your team's doing bad and you're still top goal scorer in the Prem, it's kind of a hint that you should be in Champions League football.
Yeah,
and the thing with Salah, every now and again, Salah does an interview where he's like, "Oh yeah, Real Madrid, Barcelona, they're a dream come true for anyone to play for them." And it's
he's always teasing it.
He's just kind of teasing, letting them know that he's potentially open to it. I mean, Barcelona certainly won't be paying the money for Mohamed Salah anytime soon.
They're broke.
But potentially, like Real Madrid, if they weren't able to get Mbappe, I don't know, that'd be pretty fun.
I'm sure.
Both of them. The thing is with I can't see it happening, and I said this about when Aubameyang hadn't signed his contract yet. Neither of them can afford him, and they have better things that they want to do. Like, obviously, minimum 40 mil for Salah at this point. Probably a lot more. But just
40?
Really just guessing. I'm honestly guessing.
More than 40.
I'm honestly guessing. I don't know about transfer budgets. But like in the current situation, it's probably like 60, 70. And Real Madrid want better targets, younger targets, that being Mbappe.
Yeah.
And Mbappe said he's going to stay at PSG until at least the end of next year when his contract's up. So unless they're going to do something big, they won't get Mbappe. They're going to keep trying. They also want Haaland. Both of these people are a lot younger than Salah and are doing good, if not maybe better than Salah, because
I think they can pretty much write off that Haaland won't go to them.
Yeah, but you're going to say that because you won him at Chelsea. But
No, not even that. No, not even that. I mean, right. I think if Chelsea don't get Champions League football, I don't think Haaland will go to Chelsea. I think it genuinely it has to be a Champions League club that he goes to. Otherwise, he'll say no.
Yeah. But either way, Real Madrid are gonna get one of them, maybe both. They also want Camavinga, as sort of like a midfield person to hold up for the future. And they're looking at future. They always do. Real Madrid have always looked at these like quick, not these quick time people, but like Rodrigo, Vinicius. They've been thinking about these young players for quite a while. And I think those are the people they're going to want to go for, especially in the current climate. You don't want to be investing big money on these players I
wonder as well if that they used to have their big Galactico policy of just signing the best players in the world, kind of regardless of their age.
Didn't work.
So obviously Ronaldo came in, and Kaká and Bale and all these guys. But they, as you said, they haven't really followed that policy for a while. And then after they had a pretty bad season, 18-19.
Yeah, they're still doing it.
They thought, we need something big to turn this around, and they bought Eden Hazard for 100 million, and that has not gone well at all.
It's the worst they could have done, and I feel bad for them, to be honest.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they'd kind of be worried that would that their fingers have kind of been burnt, but in the terms of signing big Galacticos, and they may not want to go down that route again because Eden Hazard has gone so badly.
At least for now, anyway. He's still got time. What is he, 29, 30? So he's still time to feel good. But, you spend that kind of money, especially that kind of money.
Hazard went there for a holiday. Let's be honest.
Hazard went there for a payday and also to but he also went there to win stuff. Like this, obviously, he knew he was going to win Champions Leagues and
the guy's won everything already, pretty much, apart from the World Cup.
It was Champions League?
Yeah, of course he has. Hasn't
he?
He
won the Champions League.
I could have swore he was in that.
He wasn't there when
he signed
season after he came.
He signed the summer that you won the Champions League.
Yeah.
2012.
So I mean, he still got to win. Ooh. And what? Are you okay?
He could pay you.
I've sorted out myself, and I don't know where it's gone.
Oh, nice.
Oh my days.
Carry on.
He's won stuff, and Real Madrid is a team that are gonna help him propel his career. If he was to put his put his weight. Benzema is still in a madness. Like the guy is like 30, 31 and he's still doing crazy stuff. So having him next to him, you'd think they would do well together. Hasn't worked out. Rodrigo's kind of taken that place down. Rodrigo's a monster. Vinicius not so much. So he's still got room to do stuff. But if Salah comes in, I think that would really ruin it. And I don't think they will. I think Haaland is the answer, honestly. Because Benzema's getting on age. Yeah, they want to get someone to replace. And who do they really have as like a second striker other than Benzema?
They bought Luka Jovic for this reason, didn't they? And they spent
a
heck of a lot of money on Luka Jovic.
I forgot about that. I forgot about Jovic.
And that just didn't. I mean, a year and a half, he scored like 2 goals. Played probably under 1,000 minutes in a year and a half at Real Madrid in the league. Like he was that unfavoured by Zidane, and they've sent him out on loan to Frankfurt. And guess what? He's scoring goals because he's a class striker. And personally, I wish the Wolves had got him on loan. Although I like Willian Jose Jovic is a whole other level.
Yeah.
Can I please use that as a segue to get onto my club? Because I've been waiting long enough.
Yeah, go on.
We're 40 minutes in.
You're feeling generous.
Wolves are back. We're back. No, I'm joking. There's a long way to go. There's a long way to go. But I'm much more happy with the situation now. We're unbeaten in the last 4 in the Premier League. We've taken 10 points from the last possible 12. We've drawn against in the last month and a bit. We've drawn against Chelsea. We've drawn against Leicester. Clean sheets in both of those games. We've beaten Arsenal. We've beaten Southampton, and now we've beaten Leeds. And honestly, two wins and 2 clean sheets over Leeds this season.
I said you'd win it. You didn't believe me.
I think that's pretty impressive.
I said you'd win that game, and you were like, I'm not sure. But you did well. Like, honestly, I mean, it was a jammy goal, but what Flipping Adama did.
I think to be fair, although in the end it was luck that caused it to go in, that play from Adama, the way he somehow kept it on the line and then drive inside, no one could touch him, and the strike as well, like that did deserve to be a goal. So 100%. and it's not.
He missed the target. How does it deserve to be a goal?
Shut up, Ewan. Stop ruining it. It deserved to be a goal. It was a great run.
Is it Rosette deserves to be a goal?
But also, I did feel sorry for Melier because not really anything he could have done there. It's just unfortunate. But particularly in the first half, that was the best I've seen us play in quite a while. And there were still things we could have done better. We were shooting a lot from range when, we could, if we'd been a bit more patient, then they would have been worked into the box.
Neto's been listening to his mom.
Neto has been listening to his mom. She's told him to shoot more, and he's just started whacking him from range everywhere. But Two biggest chances in the first half both fell to Semedo, which is like, it's not great because he's not exactly a clinical finisher.
What do you mean?
And if we'd been able to work it into the box a little more, which I think we definitely could have done if we'd been a bit more patient, then we could have got some of our better finishers on the ball in the box and scoring goals. And to be honest, in the first half, we could have got a couple of goals because we were all over Leeds at points. Second half, we sat back a bit more after we scored and we absorbed a bit of pressure as we do. And Leeds really piled on the pressure. And my man Rui Patricio absolutely turned up. He had
good.
his best game probably his best game this season.
Oh, it's not difficult. He hasn't exactly had a great season.
Well, that's true.
Coming from a guy with two terrible goalkeepers. Just pipe down, bro. Just pipe down.
The amount of...
No, you play.
No, I know when I see a bad keeper. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was really happy to see Rui play really well again because got a lot of love for him, and his first 2 seasons with us, very reliable, very consistent. And this season he has had some shaky moments, let a few goals in that he shouldn't have. But this game, his positioning was just top class, and Leeds couldn't put it past him. Particularly right at the end, when I thought Helder Costa was going to score against us, man. I was so scared.
Could you imagine? I was thinking of that as well. That would have been perfect because you guys didn't think he was ready, did you? Like to play.
Has he done that?
Well, when his first season with us in the Championship, he won our Player of the Season and he was absolutely unbelievable. And he got a pretty bad injury early in Nuno's reign, and he was never the same for us after that. He was all right at points in the Championship. Then we got up to the Premier League. He never really caught on, never really did much. So loaned him out to Leeds, did all right there. He had a good start to this season actually, and if he's doing well, I'm happy to see him doing well. But if he'd scored against us, I would have been so annoyed. But he put his shot a bit too close to Rui. He gets down with the feet, saves it right at the death, and we managed to get another 3 points.
I'll tell you what, for a 1-0 game, it was quite entertaining as well. Like the amount of chances that you both had, which is surprising. Like against Leeds, I wasn't expecting Wolves to really, turn up the way you did. But a lot of chances to score, and it was really good.
I think the main thing is something Nuno did at halftime against Southampton. This little tactical tweak, where it's very simple. It's very simple and obvious almost on the surface, but. At half-time against Southampton, he swapped Neto and Adama so that Adama was playing off the left and Neto's playing off the right, so they could both come inside. And it instantly allows so much more space for our wing-backs to get forward and make stuff happen, because before that, they were just getting in each other's way. They were both trying to go down the line, particularly Adama and Semedo.
Yeah, they did that a lot.
And they did more in terms of the attacking department as well. They I can't forget, obviously Adama created the goal doing that. He just... when he cuts in, because he obviously has it in his locker now that we've seen that to score. And what a strike that was. So maybe having one of that more might work.
Yeah. The thing about Adama is he's actually not a bad shooter now. He was a terrible shooter. He's still kind of this season kind of had this reputation of being a really wasteful shooter. But the truth is, he wasn't shooting at all. He wasn't getting any opportunities to shoot because on the right he was just constantly going down the line, trying to cross balls in. There's no one in the box to get on the end of them, and he's probably had like a shot every 2 games. But when he's coming in off the left, even if he's just hitting long shots, like they're usually pretty good. He's got a pretty fierce strike on him, and most of the goals he scored for us in his career have been bangers. So I think being able to unleash him a bit more in a goal-scoring sense, coming off the left, and Pedro Neto coming in on his left foot, we know he can be dangerous on either side. I think it could. If we saw it against Leeds, second half against Southampton, we're a much better attacking force with using inverted wingers rather than just constantly going down the line.
Yeah. But,
overall though, great game. We did talk about Merseyside derby.
Yeah. I thought clickbait. Here it is. Oh, this is the one. Chelsea have put in transfer rumours. Chelsea have put in, or supposedly preparing a 77 million pounds or million euros.
Listen to me, yeah. If you get finish the name first. Yeah, I was gonna say finish the name first. If you get Haaland for 77 million pounds, I will graciously claim that Marina, whatever her name is, Granovskaya is like the De Bruyne of transfer negotiations. Like Ronaldinho, she just does a madness little 360 roulettes. I don't understand. There's no way that goes through.
I don't think 77 will. No. It's 11. It's 11. I don't know whether it's pounds or euros. I think it's euros, but it's 11 more than what his release clause is. To be brutally honest, I reckon it has to be at least 20 million euros more for them to accept it.
But isn't it a release clause though? I don't understand it.
No, release.
It only comes into effect next summer.
Yeah.
Okay.
If players want to get him this summer or next January, they're going to have to pay a heck of a lot more.
Yeah. So I think it's gonna cost 20 million euros more at least on top. But with I've forgotten his name, the agent's name now.
Mino Raiola.
Yeah, the goblin. But he's apparently been trying to mend bridges with Chelsea because obviously we had the big issue with Lukaku. We haven't. They haven't really been.
Most Prem clubs don't rate Raiola. The only club that actually likes him or like can tolerate him, I think, is just United. Arsenal refuse to deal with him. Like we won't actually deal with any of his agents. To be honest, like, we couldn't afford any of his clients. But we just say that, don't we? But he's a horrible agent. But he has so many high-profile clients.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, the thing is, I think
just equalised against United.
Oh wow. The thing is, I think you say he's a horrible agent. I think from the perspective of his clients, he's a really good agent because he gets them so much money and always gets them the best moves. But obviously, from the perspective of the clubs and from the perspective of the fans, he's not exactly a popular figure because he is, very greedy. I mean, there's the kind of agent fees that he pulls in. They're like 10, 20, 30 million per transfer. It's nonsense.
Yeah, it is mental. But apparently Petr Cech is quite a very good person when he comes to speaking. He's thought of as a really intelligent person to talk to and a very friendly guy, which I think you'd expect from Petr Cech.
Lovely.
How he comes out.
So I had my transfer negotiations with my dad, haven't I? That's what he reminds me of. Right, if you just sign the paper for us, yeah, thank you.
Cheers, thank you very much. Actually appreciate it. There's a lollipop outside my door if you want it. Sticker.
My guy.
But no, it does help. If you're an arsey person, then it's never going to go well. So, but yeah, £77 million is being prepared. I keep on saying pounds. It's not, it's euros. But we move. So could happen. If that happens, I will be shocked. I think.
I just don't understand why you've already got Tammy Abraham. Who's going then?
Giroud's
going, isn't it? So then you've got Abraham and who
Tammy won't stay.
What do you mean he won't stay?
So his contract is up soon and he is looking at a renewal, but he's refusing to sign it yet. So if we sign Haaland, he won't sign it, so he'll probably go.
How long's the guy been here? And he's been class.
He's been our top goal scorer for the last 2 Premier League seasons. But it's sad because he's a youth. He was our academy player. He's kind of just been shunted out. I mean, we signed Werner. I think that was kind of already alarm bells going. We don't want Tammy anymore type thing. In not as fans as Chelsea. Now, if we're looking at signing Haaland, it's clear that they just don't want Tammy Abraham at all.
Yeah. Where does he go? That's the thing, because he's going to have him. He's going to send the Prem team.
I think he'll try and stay in the Prem, but I don't think he'll ever be in a top 6 club. Not unless he becomes amazing. I think he's kind of that from 10th to 6th to 10th type team area.
I could see him. I mean, obviously Everton have got Calvert-Lewin, so they wouldn't need him. But at a club like Everton, you could definitely see Tammy Abraham thriving.
Maybe. With Grealish at Villa.
I was going to say,
Possibly.
Villa's a massive shout because they already said that they wanted him. They've said they.
My other thought that I've just had is Danny Ings is getting on a bit. You know, he's 29, and he's been making moves recently, saying maybe he wants to move to somewhere with European football. You know, Tammy Abraham at Southampton, that could work.
I mean,
That's a good shot, you know.
I don't think Tammy's a bad footballer at all. I think he's a very, very good striker. He's not world class. He's still young. He's got a lot to learn, and I think he has learned a lot over the last 2 years, especially with being with Giroud, which I think could be another reason why you might not want to stay is because Giroud's going. Because they are very, very good friends. You see it when they get substituted off for each other. There's been times where Giroud's been shouting stuff at Tammy to help him out in game. But I mean, if we can get Haaland for 70 million euros, I'm sorry, Tammy, but
you know what? It's similar to the Balogun situation. I don't know if you know following Balogun is Ewan, but Sam, I think you will. It's so stressful because this guy he's so good. Let me just set the scene for you. This kid, right? He scores like.
Hold on. Let me zone in.
What's that mean?
Well, zone in. You're setting the scene. It's like a story, isn't it?
Oh right, yeah, okay.
I'm ready.
It's a cold, windy night in Stoke, right? Under 23s game. No one else can seem to get a look in. No one can get in the box. But who's that shadowy figure? The guy's holding up the Hublot substitutions thing. It's following Balogun. You turn around, it's like the defenders. Oh no, it's following Balogun, and he's come on. It's 0-0, 79th minute, and he scores. But what's this? He's in again, and he scored again. And then he scored. This guy will score 3 or 4 goals in 10 minutes. I'm serious. This kid is insanely good. He honestly, in the Europa League, he's come on twice for us in the first team. He made his first team debut. In his first team debut, the guy scored in, I think, 5 minutes. In the second game, he scored in 2. All right? Is that right? Or did he get an assist? One of the two. Either way, this kid is really good. He's a striker. He's class. He's conscious with the end of the season. The agent, it's the agent because the kid loves the club. We've already had people try and sign him last summer for like £1 or £2 million. We'd already let go of Sam Greenwood, a different striker. So we are trying to get this guy on a new contract. And we always do this. I've never heard of a club have more issues with contract negotiations than my club. How old is this podcast? Like, we're like, what? This is 22? So we're like 6 months old. And I remember, like, the start of it, we were talking, I think we were talking about Saka. We must have been talking about Saka early on, surely.
Yeah.
How can this club have so many issues with signing players on new contracts? We're amazed with like mugs consistently with players who aren't even like first team registered yet, really. Balogun has to play the Premier League minute. Saka was getting good. But, you know, this kid is pulling all the strings for a club that was not long ago in the Champions League final doing unbeatable, having the record for unbeaten runs in the Premier League. And now we're getting mugged off by a kid. The kid is younger than me, and we're getting mugged off by him. Are you mad? This is what I don't understand. Now, I have no hate to Balogun. I know he loves the club and he's an amazing player, but we should not be having to go through this at all. Us as fans should not be going through this at all. It's not like we're Crawley Town and this kid is amazing and United and City are all looking at him and Leipzig are looking at him because that's what's happening now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I just wanted to talk about this kid because we need to get him a new contract or he's going to go and he wants first team football. I need to say that, to be honest.
From someone that has experience, you shouldn't be letting go of youngsters that are good. We've done that too many times. That's Chelsea fan.
It happens, you know, we're the kings of that, aren't we? But yes,
I mean,
Chelsea have that, sure.
Even Wolves have got experience of that, less so than you guys, obviously. But every single time I look at the Portuguese league stats and I see bloody Pedro Goncalves, 22 years old.
Was he at Wolves?
Yeah, and he's a central midfielder / cam, and he can play on the wing as well. And he's got like 14 goals in about 13 games for Sporting this season.
Yeah,
and we let him go on a free transfer. Oh,
I've seen him on Football Manager. That's why I know.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's crazy. It hurts. Like those kind of free transfer things. It's just deadly. Yeah. These agents just doing madnesses, and now look, he's probably going to go somewhere big. I think he's linked some
I saw him linked to like Liverpool earlier this year. It's like if they end up with Jota and Goncalves just killing it, I will be fuming.
Kick in the teeth, that is. Imagine they come to the Molineux and just tear at the Molineux with the fans back as well. Oh my days, it's over for you.
Mate.
It's over for you.
Yeah,
But either way, it's over for Wolves and it's over for us. And that's the podcast. I hope you really enjoyed today's episode. Get it on not Instagram. We have an Instagram now. Follow that.
Yeah.
Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, all of that.
TikTok.
TikTok. Like, subscribe.
Twitter.
All right. I think they get it. We're on everything. Yeah. Thank you.
Just go to the description.
Yeah. All the links in the description. All right. See ya.
Peace.
See ya.